I used to believe that being perfect at everything was possible if you just tried hard enough. Back then, my life looked like one of those Instagram feeds where the lighting is always golden and everyone's smiling. I had it all, or so I thought. A 15-year marriage to my college sweetheart Nathan, 2 beautiful children, a fulfilling career teaching third grade, and a circle of friends I'd known for decades. Our craftsman home in Portland was the gathering place for neighborhood barbecues and holiday parties. My best friend Rebecca and I taught at the same elementary school, had weekly coffee dates, and finished each other's sentences. We were inseparable since freshman year of college. She was there when Nathan proposed on a rainy evening at Powell's Books. She was my maid of honor. She was godmother to my daughter Emma. If you had told me then that my entire world would collapse before the leaves changed color, I would have laughed in your face. But that's the thing about betrayal. It doesn't announce itself. It creeps in silently while you're busy making plans and believing in promises. The first signs were so subtle I nearly missed them. Nathan started working late frequently at his marketing firm. His text messages went unanswered for hours. I'd call, and he'd say he was in meetings or driving and couldn't talk. His explanation seemed reasonable, a demanding new client, looming deadlines. But something felt off, like when you walk into a room and can't quite place what's been moved. Around the same time, Rebecca began canceling our weekly coffee meetups. She was suddenly swamped with committee work, parent conferences, curriculum planning. Again, plausible reasons. I was raised to believe that doubt was a form of disloyalty, so I pushed away the uneasiness growing in my stomach. Even when I found hotel receipts in Nathan's jacket pocket while doing laundry, I convinced myself there must be an innocent explanation, maybe a conference I'd forgotten about. Maybe a client meeting in a hotel restaurant. I didn't even ask him about them. Meanwhile, Nathan grew more distant, more irritable. He criticized how I was raising the kids. He questioned my career choices, suggesting maybe I should pursue administration instead of just teaching. He complained about my cooking, my appearance, the way I folded his shirts. Looking back, I realized he was creating justifications in his mind for what he was doing. I responded the only way I knew how, by trying harder. I started working harder at everything, planning elaborate family activities on weekends, taking on extra school projects to prove my professional worth, trying new recipes from gourmet cookbooks, exercising more, buying new clothes. I was like a hamster on a wheel, exhausting myself, trying to salvage everyone's happiness at once. And all the while, the very people I trusted most were betraying me in the most intimate way possible. The text wasn't even meant for me. That's how I found out. A careless mistake that shattered 15 years of trust in 15 seconds. It was a Tuesday afternoon in October. The children were at their after-school activities, and I was grading papers at the kitchen table when Nathan's text notification sound pinged on my phone. We'd accidentally synced our messaging apps years earlier and never bothered to fix it. Sometimes his texts to others would show up on my screen before disappearing. Usually, I ignored them, respecting his privacy. But this one caught my eye. Can't wait to taste you again tonight. Tell him you're at book club. I'll say I'm working late. Same hotel. The message was meant for Rebecca. I sat there, physically unable to move as more texts appeared. Explicit. Unmistakable. When the children came home, I somehow managed to help with homework, make dinner, oversee baths, and read bedtime stories, all while feeling like I was floating outside my body, watching someone else go through the motions. When Nathan came home around 9 p.m., I was sitting in the dark living room. I didn't cry or scream. I simply handed him my phone and watched his face as he realized his mistake. He confessed everything that night. An 8-month affair with my best friend. They had been meeting in our home when I took the kids to their activities. In our bed. The betrayal was twofold. My husband and my closest confidant. I remember standing in our kitchen, physically unable to breathe, as Nathan admitted they had, quote, fallen in love. Rebecca had sat at our dinner table, comforted me when I shared my concerns about my marriage, all while sleeping with my husband. The devastation was complete when I learned my children had been told to keep secrets about times they'd seen Rebecca at the house when I wasn't home. Daddy's friend came to help him with a surprise for you, they'd been instructed to say if I ever asked. Within days, Nathan moved out and immediately in with Rebecca, leaving me to explain to our children, face our mutual friends, and handle the logistics of separation alone. The cruelest part wasn't even the affair itself. It was the aftermath. The discovery that people we'd known for years had suspected something but never told me. The realization that I would now see Rebecca in the school hallways, at faculty meetings, at parent events. The awful task of telling my children that Daddy loved someone else now, watching their confusion and pain while trying to manage my own. In those first few weeks, I tried to manage everything perfectly. I maintained my teaching job despite barely sleeping. I put on a brave face for my children, assuring them everything would be okay when I had no idea if that was true. I initiated divorce proceedings, researching attorneys late into the night. I sought therapy, joined support groups, and attempted to rebuild my social circle, all while battling crippling anxiety, humiliation, and the practical realities of suddenly being a single parent. I was drowning, but refusing to admit it. I thought showing any weakness meant Nathan and Rebecca had won. I believed that if I could just work hard enough, be strong enough, plan carefully enough, I could handle it all seamlessly and prove to everyone, mostly myself, that I didn't need either of them. Have you ever realized you're trying so hard to prove you're okay that you're actually destroying yourself in the process? Comment below if you've ever found yourself in this overwhelming cycle. My breaking point came 3 months after the discovery. I was teaching my class when the room started spinning. I remember trying to reach my desk before everything went black. I woke up in the hospital. Dehydration and extreme fatigue, they said. My body had simply shut down. As I lay there with an IV in my arm, a doctor I'd never met before asked me a question that would change everything. Who's taking care of you while you're taking care of everyone else? I had no answer. During my mandated week off work, I had my first real session with Dr. Bennett, the therapist I'd been seeing but not really talking to. This time was different. I broke down completely, finally admitting how overwhelmed I felt trying to be the perfect betrayed spouse. Strong for my kids, professional at work, dignified in the divorce proceedings, and somehow also healing my shattered heart. You don't have to fight every battle at the same time, she told me. Some things can wait while you heal. It's called temporary letting go. The concept was revolutionary to me. Against the advice of well-meaning friends and family who pushed me to aggressively pursue every aspect of the divorce immediately, to take him for everything, to rage and fight, I made the difficult decision to focus primarily on my emotional healing and my children's well-being. I temporarily delegated some teaching responsibilities, requesting a teacher's aide for the remainder of the year. I postponed decisions about selling our house, choosing instead to simply make the mortgage payments and create a stable environment for Emma and Tyler. I allowed my lawyer to handle most communications with Nathan, establishing boundaries that protected my healing process. The hardest part wasn't letting go. It was forgiving myself for not being superhuman. My brother Martin thought I was being weak. You need to fight for the house now, he insisted. You need to demand full custody. You need to report Rebecca to the school board for ethical violations. His intentions were good, but following his advice would have meant continuing to spread myself too thin, fighting on all fronts simultaneously. Other friends wondered why I wasn't moving on faster or getting back out there. They meant well too, but they couldn't see that I was doing the most important work of all, healing from the inside out. Gradually, I found a strange new peace in prioritizing what truly mattered. I focused on being present with my children, processing my emotions honestly in therapy, and rediscovering who I was apart from my marriage. I started journaling, took long walks in Forest Park, and even joined a support group specifically for those betrayed by spouses and friends simultaneously. I learned I wasn't alone in this peculiar, painful experience. I realized that trying to excel at everything during this crisis was actually preventing me from healing at all. By consciously choosing to temporarily let go of certain responsibilities and expectations, I created space to breathe, to grieve, to rage when necessary, and eventually to rebuild. 6 months later, with a clearer mind and stronger emotional foundation, I was able to return to the temporarily set-aside responsibilities with greater wisdom and perspective. The divorce proceedings, which I now approached with boundaries and self-care in place. The decision about the house, which I ultimately chose to sell, using my portion to buy a smaller but cozier home for the children and me. The professional challenges at work, where I finally addressed the awkwardness of continuing to work in the same school as Rebecca. She eventually transferred, not me, a small victory. By giving myself permission to focus on healing first, I eventually found the strength to handle everything else, not simultaneously, but sequentially, and with boundaries I never would have established before. Has prioritizing one area of your life ever unexpectedly helped you in other areas too? Share your experience in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories about finding strength through life's most painful moments. It's been a year since that text message changed everything. Nathan and Rebecca are still together, though I hear through mutual friends that the shine has worn off their relationship now that it's no longer forbidden. The children spend every other weekend with their father, an arrangement that was painful at first but now gives me time for self-care. And, recently, even dating again. I've met someone new, a kind, honest man who understands that trust is something I'll build slowly. At work, I've found my passion for teaching renewed, approaching my classroom with hard-won wisdom about resilience that I subtly weave into lessons for my young students. Most importantly, I've learned that some burdens aren't meant to be carried all at once. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is temporarily set down what's too heavy, focus on what's most crucial, and trust that you'll have the strength to pick up the rest when you're ready. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by life's demands, especially during a personal crisis, remember that temporarily letting go isn't the same as giving up. It's a strategic decision to focus your limited energy where it matters most. If my story resonated with you, please hit that subscribe button. I'd love to hear in the comments about your own experiences with having to let go of something temporarily to save yourself. We're all stronger than we know, especially when we give ourselves permission to heal. I thought Nathan's affair was the worst thing that could happen to me. Now I realize it forced me to learn the most valuable lesson of my life, that sometimes we need to temporarily let go of certain responsibilities to truly take hold of what matters most. The woman I am today is stronger, wiser, and more authentic than the perfect wife I was trying so desperately to be. And for that unexpected gift of transformation, I've finally found gratitude. If you found strength in this story, please like and share it with someone who might need to hear that it's okay to put down some burdens while carrying others. And don't forget to subscribe for more real stories about finding your way through life's darkest moments.